UPNG Council announces dates to complete Semester 1. PMIZ operations delayed. And coffee exports still reeling from El Nino aftershocks.
This is National EMTV News with Hope Imaka.
Good evening and thank you for joining me for Thursday's news. First in on our news tonight, the UPNG Council met today and lifted the suspension of classes at the university. UPNG Acting Chancellor Nicholas Mann announced that UPNG Medical Faculty will resume classes on Monday, June the 6th, while the main campus will resume classes on June 13th. UPNG students who have returned to their respective home provinces are asked to make their way back to Port Moresby.
After 10 days of suspension at UPNG, Acting Chancellor Nicholas Mann said the suspension was for the good of students, parents and UPNG to allow normalcy to return, and was pleased to announce the resuming of Semester 1, Week 11.
This afternoon I have a pleasure to announce that the Council has met and has lifted the suspension of the first semester 2016. What that means is that Semester 1 will now resume. The students at the School of Medicine and Health Sciences will start their classes on the 6th of June, and the students on the main campus will start classes on the 13th of June.
Vice Chancellor Professor Albert Mellam said that the academic year has been rescheduled to allow Semester 1 to finish off. He said the academic year would finish on the 5th of November, 3 weeks after the previous scheduled date. Students are now asked to return to the campus.
I worked out the calendar that will not affect the delivery of Semester 1 programs. It will terminate as planned. Then the students go through the motion of sitting for the examination. Then it allows for the assessments to take place. Then we'll commence Semester 2. All the activities that programmed for Semester 2 will take place. And we will conclude 3 weeks after schedule on the 5th of November. That's when we'll conclude the 2016 academic year.
Pro-Vice Chancellor Vincent Malaibe explained how the academic year had been rescheduled.
And it's not the classes when all assessment are completed, so that they can begin week 1 of Semester 2 on the 25th of July. And as VC said, if things go according to plan with no more disruptions, the students will depart and vacate the campus on the 5th.
If students are still reluctant to return to class, Acting Chancellor Mann has said that students would be affecting their own studies, and UPNG Council will meet again to take further actions. Adelaide Sirox-Kari, National EMTV News.
The husband of Regina Morove was arrested and charged at 9 a.m. this morning at the Baroko Police Station. Assistant Commissioner of Police and NCD Central Commander Sylvester Kalaut confirmed that Felix Kange is now in police custody awaiting bail application. Kange has been charged in relation to the death of Miss Morove. Mr. Kalaut also sent out a strong message to all those in possession of licensed firearms to handle the weapons with care. The Pacific Maritime Industrial Zone project in Medang will not begin operations as planned. State Enterprise and Public Investment Minister William Duma says this comes as a loan of $900 million has been put on halt by the Exim Bank of China. Minister Duma made this statement after being questioned by Deputy Opposition Leader Sam Basil in Parliament today.
The State Enterprise and Investment Minister came under scrutiny in today's question without notice session in Parliament. Minister Duma was grilled over the 900 million kina loan from the Exim Bank of China. Deputy Opposition Leader Sam Basil probed into the alleged use of 12 million kina for fencing and the 18 million kina used in clearing coconut plantations.
For the benefit of taxpayers, can the Minister assure this House that his department, if possible, can engage a forensic audit team to verify the use of the Exim Bank loan. We believe that 300 million kina US or 900 million kina that was spent so far for the PMIZ project before committing the taxpayers yet again to another loan that is still under process, I believe. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
When responding, the State Investment Minister indicated that the project will see a slowdown of events following the withdrawal of the 900 million kina loan.
Nothing had been done, and the time period that is allowed for the government to draw down the funds lapsed. So the reality, Mr. Speaker, is that we have not even borrowed the money, we have not even seen the money. Time period lapsed, and we are renegotiating now.
Minister Duma says a reason for this is the time wasted to sort out landowner issues within the project site. Duma said the delay in landowner issues leaves no option for the government but to renegotiate with the Exim Bank officials to release the funding.
The issues to resolve with our own landowners and the provincial government in Madang. So we devoted most of our time to resolving those issues. We had to resolve those issues ourselves in this country before asking our friends to lend us that money.
The PMIZ project is a government priority project and was launched early this year in Madang by the government and development partners. Jack Lapava Jr., National EMTV News.
While praising the government in successfully hosting the 8th African Caribbean Pacific Summit, opposition leader Don Pollier called on the government to expand the free trade sector. Pollier called on Prime Minister Peter O'Neill to consider the inclusion of commodities in the agriculture sector. Pollier raised this concern in today's Parliament session.
Many issues of concern have been discussed among nations in the 8th African Caribbean Pacific Summit, which ended yesterday. However, opposition leader Don Pollier said the conclusion of issues must have positive outcomes for its country to benefit.
We believe we must have such protection agreements in place to enhance Papua New Guinea's trade and business, not just amongst ACP countries, but also with the European Union.
The opposition leader questioned Prime Minister Peter O'Neill if the government had strategies for better understanding in other areas of trade.
Can we enhance and explore other areas of free trade, not just in tuna, but in oil palm, in agriculture commodities, in other products that our small, medium-scale enterprise in Papua New Guinea are producing?
The Prime Minister responded, stating PNG is gradually advancing and making efforts to allow more inclusion in sectors of trade. PM O'Neill said not only APEC or ACP nations will open trading doors, but also Europe.
Today has got the economic partnership agreement with European Union. We have that partnership that enables our produce, including fish. It's not exclusive to fish alone. It's not exclusive to tuna alone, Mr. Speaker. It is for all our produce that we produce in our country, having access to the markets in Europe. That includes coffee, cocoa, copra.
Adding on, the Prime Minister spoke highly of the visa on arrival between member nations and the road PNG is following to achieve the UN Sustainable Goals. Jack Lapava Jr., National EMTV News.
The Education Department needs a proper database system to monitor teachers, students and schools throughout the country. Education Minister Nick Kuman told Parliament this valuable element is not in place, thus the department is facing many problems. Minister Kuman says more amendments will be done to the Education Act after taking into consideration the report presented by the Special Parliamentary Committee on Education.
Despite the free education policy and more developments taking shape in PNG's education sector, the Education Department needs a proper database system. Education Minister Nick Kuman told Parliament today the department needs accurate statistics for all schools throughout the country. He says the Special Parliamentary Committee on Education has made good recommendations to the department.
I will present it to the Parliament. And currently we are on the final stages of the Education Act, and that will be also tabled on the Parliament as soon as the NEC vetted those amendments.
Minister Kuman was responding to questions raised by Wabek MP Robert Ganim over a recent report tabled in Parliament, which MP Ganim believes the government was very slow in responding.
I believe it would only be proper if the Minister for Education present a report in this Parliament to update the teachers of this nation on how far they've gone in addressing some of the recommendations that my committee has made.
The report presented by the Special Parliamentary Committee on Education has highlighted many loopholes in the current education system.
The database, particularly with the enrollment figures throughout the country, is always a challenge every year. For us to ensure that we pay the right amount of money to each school is a challenge.
Meanwhile, the Education Department has created 24 positions for officers to monitor TFF funds in its province. Jack Lapave Jr., National EMTV News.
Northern Governor Gary Juffa says Indonesia has sent almost 45,000 military troops to West Papua and recently into Wamena. He said this buildup of troops along the border should concern PNG. He raised this in Parliament today, questioning the Defence Minister, Fabian Pock, about the size of the PNG military at the border.
The Northern Governor says the build-up of military personnel on the other side of the border should concern PNG. While Indonesian troops are showing an active presence along the border, Juffa says the PNG government has shown little interest to monitor its side of the border. Today in Parliament, he questioned why border posts along the 760 kilometers length have taken too long to be built and whether the military patrol on the border will be beefed up. He raised these questions after expressing concerns that Indonesia has sent almost 45,000 military troops to West Papua and recently into Wamena. In response, Defense Minister Fabian Pock says there was no military build-up at the border and that Indonesia and Australia remains active friends of PNG.
We have a lot of meetings with both Indonesia and Australia regarding the borders. We really don't have an issue. The population, so the military personnel that has been brought to the border is to control their problems to do with their territories, as far as we understand. That's why I say, I don't really think we should be worried about, or we should think, because I have talked to so many people, I've talked to ministers in defense, defense ministers in Indonesia.
But the response did not go down well with Vanimo Green MP Belden Nama. Nama says Indonesian military are invading the border, threatening the sovereignty of PNG. While this has been debated at the highest level, communities along the border at Western Province are threatened by poachers who came in to hunt for deer and barramundi. The call to increase PNG's military patrol along the border is to strengthen national security. Quinten Alomp, National EMTV News.
The second PNG LNG project custom-built ship, the Kumul, safely completed loading its first LNG cargo yesterday. In a week of milestones, the 200th PNG LNG cargo is also due to be loaded onto the Spirit of Hela this weekend. Andrew Barry, ExxonMobil PNG Managing Director, said these two milestones further strengthens their reputation for safely and reliably delivering LNG to our customers.
The Kumul was recently named in a ceremony in China. It's a 172,000 cubic meter, 290 meter long LNG carrier. The ship has entered service on a long-term charter with ExxonMobil PNG, operator of the PNG LNG project, providing LNG transportation to major customers in Asia. ExxonMobil PNG Managing Director Andrew Berry said the company could not be more excited about the arrival of the Kumul, the second of the custom-built ships, to load its first cargo, which will be delivered to Sinopec. The Kumul is owned by Japan's Mitsui OSK Lines Limited and East China LNG Shipping Investment Co. Limited. Mitsui OSK Lines will operate the ship on behalf of the PNG LNG venture and deliver cargoes under the direction of ExxonMobil PNG Limited. The first LNG carrier, the Papua, commenced service in February 2015. The Kumul and its sister vessel, the Papua, are the largest liquefied natural gas carriers ever to be built in China. In the meantime, the Spirit of Hela will be loading the 200 cargo for LNG PNG this weekend. Deli Waigeno, National EMTV News.
You're watching National EMTV News. Declining coffee exports and reigning in teacher absenteeism. Those stories and more when we come back. Welcome back. The distrust towards mainstream media in Papua New Guinea has fueled significant growth in the uptake of social media in the past month during student protests. On popular Facebook groups, memberships jumped as Papua New Guineans sought near real-time updates of the boycotts and the reactions from government. It's a trend far removed from students' movements of the last 4 decades, when primary sources of information were the newspapers, radio and television.
Over the past month, Papua New Guineans flocked to social media, particularly Facebook, to get updates of the student boycotts. It's a trend that has seen significant evolution over 6 years. Unlike in the past, this student movement began officially with a series of meetings in Lae and Port Moresby that have been widely published, but not on conventional media, but on Facebook. Social media has developed a loose group of politically aware, highly critical skeptics on one side and conservative thinking advocates on the other.
New technology has enabled flow of information. There's also a greater critical mass of knowledgeable young Papua New Guineans.
Since leaving medical school, our young Namarong has become a popular name on the blogosphere. His hard-hitting, unapologetic blog, The Namarong Report, has attracted international attention, with overseas journalists seeking his views on various issues, from politics to social media developments. Namarong says the speed of social media updates and the delivery of near real-time news, as well as the ability to interact, has challenged the relevance of mainstream media.
Obviously, technology has changed the dynamics of political discussion and the dynamics of power, because whereas previously traditional media restricted who had access, who had a voice at the center of power, with social media now everyone has a voice. Everyone can connect to the centers of power, members of parliament, bureaucrats, they're online. They're interacting with, average Joe, even they're interacting with boy sellers.
With increased competition, cheaper smartphones and higher internet speeds, a lot more people are preferring to get their news on social media via smartphones. Unitec student Elton Namaro has become a popular social media figure over the last 3 weeks. He's been one of those responsible for social media updates from student awareness campaigns all over the country. He says social media has worked well for a generation that has lost trust in traditional media.
Facebook is one way so that I can express me individually, so that another line outside can survey.
When someone posts something on Facebook, it's believed much more than television or newspaper or radio, which is a little bit more impersonal. So I think that explains the trend as to why Papua New Guineans are trusting social media more than mainstream media. They kind of feel personally connected.
Social media has become a powerful tool for this generation of Papua New Guineans, and it can serve the purpose of educating or, in some instances, misinforming people. Now, current figures estimate that there are about 600,000 Facebook users. Now, that's a sizable chunk, considering that in the next few years it could equate to 10% of Papua New Guinea's total population. Scott Waide, National EMTV News, Lae.
Papua New Guinea's coffee export has declined this year following a strong El Nino which affected farmers throughout the country's coffee-growing areas. The Coffee Industry Corporation reports that crop yield dropped in quality to its lowest in history, reducing the amount of exports and coffee beans, attracting lower prices. Amidst the country's financial problems, the central bank says coffee has done well to contribute to vital export numbers. Bethany Harman with this report.
The Lae branch of the Coffee Industry Corporation deals with coffee exports out of the Lae ports. The central bank says coffee exports have been good and could help the current lack of foreign currency. Coffee Industry Corporation Senior Export Officer Marie Kiliawi says the numbers show that coffee exports have declined slightly this year. Coffee contributes consistently to foreign currency coming into the country and the local rural families' daily lives.
And the overall for the quarter for last year was over 111,000 bags. For this year, we did only 109,000 bags.
The cash flow coming from coffee is nowhere near to that of the extractive industries. But the central bank has highlighted coffee that brings in vital foreign currency through exports.
Now we're hearing also already that and seeing already that coffee is good, is reacting to that, very good exports. More exporters are selling direct to overseas markets. And of course, cocoa and copra in the Eastern Bougainville, East New Britain and Bougainville are very much increasing. So this is very good. It's a positive story.
The coffee industry has suffered greatly this year. A sharp drop in prices because of poor quality brought about by the adverse effects of the El Nino and damages to the Highlands Highway that delayed freight delay.
Defects or rubbish that we see in coffee were white and old beans. So it's really because of long storage, and those were the kind of things that affect, the quality. And that was one of the major things that we see.
Coffee may not be exporting billions of dollars, but during times like this, when world prices of oil, gas and minerals have slumped, coffee does become significant. Coffee as a cash crop alone contributing to the entire Papua New Guinean agricultural sector that doesn't generate billions of dollars in revenue. But given the support it deserves over time, it will reach its full potential. And someday the agricultural sector will be able to mitigate losses acquired from the slump in world commodity prices affecting oil, mineral and gases. Bethany Harriman, National EMTV News, Leh.
South Wagi MP Joe Coim has presented financing for the second phase of the district's credit scheme. MP Coim said encouraging SME was important after the first phase had a 40% success. General Manager of the National Development Bank, Moses Liu, said South Wagi's outcome is impressive because most districts fell below the 20% success rate.
South Wagi member Joy Coim said that he was pleased to partner with the National Development Bank in providing microfinance to his people to allow SME to grow in the South Wagi.
Many are still out there who are yet to pay up everything, but so far, according to reports, we have a 40% success, and I would like to take this opportunity to thank everybody who is involved in this one.
Coim said the second phase funding would encourage other SME business and the already first funded batch grow their businesses. He thanked NDB and People's Microbank for the partnership.
Out there wants an opportunity, everybody. And that opportunity does not come most of the time. A year we have created an atmosphere. We thank God that He opened up this atmosphere where it gave peace to the bank officers and you went away from your lending criteria and you were able to accommodate.
NDB Managing Director Moses Liu said 15 other district members have taken part in the district credit scheme and so far the scheme has been successful. Liu commended and congratulated Joe Coim on his vision to make a difference in the lives of the people of South Wagi.
So it's a wide area of businesses that these people, the 880 people have been engaged, or 480, is it? Or 880 people have involved themselves in. So really, that goes to support the figures that the local MP gave. So with that, close to 900, and now an additional 600 is going to be funded, close to. We'll have close to 1,500 small micro business owners who had never had any chance to do that. So I would like to commend and congratulate the local MP.
South Wagi member Joy Coim handed over a cheque of 495,000 kina to NDB Managing Director. Adelaide Xerox Kari, National EMTV News.
Police manpower in the 9 districts of Morobe province is still not enough to tackle the province's high crime rate. Provincial Police Commander Chief Superintendent Augustine Wampe said apart from Bulolo and Ley, most of the other districts have 1 or 2 police officers. Wampe says his command is unable to send more officers as there are no houses in each of the districts to accommodate them.
Outside of the Ley Metropolitan Command, the Morobe Provincial Police Command has 127 officers policing a population of more than 500,000. The districts of Kabum, Menyamya, Tewai, CSA, Yuan, Galv, Makam, Finchafen and Nawai have either just 1 or 2 police officers on the ground, while Bulolo District has 20 officers and Ley District has more than 200 police personnel.
Remote and isolated area like Menyamia, I only have 1 policeman now based in Menyamia. And when it comes to do policing in the area, it's pretty hard. So
Chief Superintendent Augustine Wampe says his command is not able to send in police personnel due to housing problems. They need more police houses in the districts before they can send in officers. At this time, they can only send in policemen to assist police officers on the ground.
The situation is out of control. We always seek assistance from the provincial government to source us with funds to lift the policemen from the provincial police headquarters to go and assist them.
Wampe says crime is an everyday occurrence, but when it comes to policing, they need to get more men on the ground to address the issue. They also need to do more awareness in the communities to reduce the crime rate in those areas. Right now, all they can do is react to situations. Wampe is appealing to local MPs in each of the districts to assist Provincial Police Command to build more houses as well as providing logistical support. And while police in Ley wait for police housing in the districts, the consequences of having little to no police presence continue to multiply. Fewer boots on the ground is resulting in the increasing number of crimes being committed every week. Mata Luis, National EMTV News, Ley.
2 teachers at Ley's Milford Haven Primary School have not been paid for the last 4 months. Head teacher of the school, Yellow Amu, says resumption of duty summary sheets have not been approved for the 2 staff since February this year. The province's education advisor, Keith Jiram, however, confirms all rods for Morobe teachers have been approved and sent to TSC for processing at the education salary section in Waigani.
The resumption of duty summary sheet contains teachers' details and are kept by Education Department to identify teachers' duties along with their salaries. The head teacher, Yellow Amu, says that these teachers' forms have not been approved according to the records that are kept with the school. As a result, salaries were not paid over 8 fortnights. Stephen Mape said he was being underpaid as a level 2 staff, as he indicates in his pay slips here.
To my understanding and what I know, there is nothing coming from the Division of Education yet, Morobe Province. We frequenting the office and they don't give us good information. Even our teacher goes and comes back.
The other 2 female teachers, Jamie Tara and Kayo Inunke, say they haven't been paid for the last 8 fortnights and carrying out their duty has been difficult.
I've been not on pay yet. This is the half of the year now. So I went up to the provincial education office, salaries, and they said they send our rods down to Port Moresby and it's yet to be processed.
It's very complicated. Without pay is a bit tough for me, living in city or towns, I can say.
Teaching without pay has become a challenge for them as their needs cannot be provided by the school itself.
No proper response. They're saying, oh, we're waiting for the education officer Mosby to process the roads for this year. But it's not happening.
Meanwhile, Provincial Education Advisor Keith Jiram says many teachers have not been given new positions due to a computer system failure within the Provincial and Education Department offices. Colin Barilai, National EMTV News, Ley.
Fire services respond late to a fire at Port Moresby Medical Service in Boroko. The fire could have damaged other nearby properties, but thanks to the actions of neighbors and bystanders, the fire was put out. The cause of the fire is still unknown. Deli Waigeno interviewed one responding fire services officer to find out why response was slow.
While waiting for fire services to respond, the actions of neighbors and bystanders could be the only reason why nearby properties were not damaged. Amidst all the confusion, staff say they called the Boroko Fire Service several times before they themselves had to drive to Boroko to alert the fire marshals, only to find out that the fire truck had mechanical problems and that the Waigani Fire Service would attend to the blaze. Meanwhile, back at the medical center, there were highly flammable objects, such as an out-of-service car and oxygen tanks, and brave neighbors and bystanders worked out a way to put out the fire. Fire services from Waigani arrived 40 minutes later to put out what was left, but then had issues with their water pump and a water pipe had to be used. Arifei Farapo, the station commander, explained the situation that unfolded.
We still had the water in there. Just because we had few problems with our pump, there was air within the pump casing which we discharged the air and then we restored the pump back to normal and we had a sufficient pressure out in there.
Farapo commended the bystanders on containing the fire before it engulfed other properties.
I would commend them for a great, job well done. They were brave enough to attack the fire at its initial stage. However, because of the fuel load in there, it decided to get the building down. But I congratulate and commend them for a job well done.
Deli Waigeno, National EMTV News.
And now looking at our finance news. The Kina opened unchanged at $0.3160 in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your Kina was buying $0.3085 $0.4224 Australian dollars, $0.2728 euro, and 33.55 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold, coffee, cocoa, and copra closed the day higher. Palm oil, crude oil, and copper closed the day lower. And on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 2.47 points higher, the ASX closed at 45.97 points lower, and the All Ordinaries closed at 42.17 points lower. You're with Thursday's news. We take a look at the push for innovation in agricultural sector, the need for more health workers throughout the country, and promoting culture in Guam. The details when we come back. Welcome back. A two-day workshop that ended on Tuesday this week in Leh has highlighted the need to build on existing agricultural research and to find new ways to improve production. Key stakeholders included Trukai Rice, Fresh Produce Development Agency, and the National Agricultural Research Institute. They discussed methods of dealing with food production during adverse climate events.
Agricultural innovations are not only products, they are ideas. Knowledge and technology essential for farmers. The discussion centered around the research and development needed, as well as the large investments in technology to help growers become more efficient and profitable. Head of the Unitec Agriculture Department, Professor Abdul Halim, has been part of a program that draws on the expertise of industry experts for practical innovations.
Our students are involved in industrial training for a full semester, 6 months, every year, and they learn hands-on learning.
An example of another agricultural innovation that is likely to be used in PNG was presented in a case study by Dr. James Beringer from Landcare Research in New Zealand. It is a system that maps soil types, making it easy to identify fertile areas for planting. But innovations cannot happen without the right people. Neither can great relationships. This is for this reason that all the stakeholders gathered at Unitec over 2 days.
An organisation like Unitec or one of the universities wanting to do something quite specific, and there is an organisation like ours that is able to provide an avenue for that to occur, I think that is gaining traction.
A local farmer for cocoa and coffee, Molok Terry from Tewaisiasi district, who participated in the workshop, said that such workshop on agricultural innovations will help motivate the farmers in the remote areas of PNG as they do not see government services every day.
Me look at a big opportunity. Mr. Plong all big man Mary. Only can walk inside one temple man Mary lo place. Now I can come now. I can walk now. I can give him more thing long again. Walk inside one time man Mary because now yet me pla shamla man Mary inside lo bush. Me pain look one pa helping block up man go inside.
Julie Badwi Owa, National EMTV News, Ley.
More health workers are needed to effectively deliver services in 21 health facilities across the country. That's from NCD Health Advisor Dr. Gary O. He said through public-private partnerships, there will be an increase of health workers. And this was witnessed with the signing of an MOU between the Health Department and Asia Pacific Institute of Applied Social and Technical Studies.
This MOU paves way for over 50 medical students attending Asia Pacific Institute of Applied Social, Economic and Technical Studies called APSETS to undergo trainings in Port Moresby Health facilities. APSETS Health Science Program Manager Florian Yabila Fuen said of these 50 students, 24 are attending community health worker training and 25 are receiving general nursing training. Speaking to students during this ceremony, NCD Health Advisor Dr. Gary O said these students will be part of over 1,000 health workers that are currently needed.
You are going to be doing the practical in facilities. I know a few of you will end up with NCD Health. I know a few of you will end up with the new hospital that's going to open its doors.
Through this partnership arrangement, students will receive applied health skills to become competent health workers. NCD Curative Health Director Dr. Jerry Tanumai said with lower health ratio of health workers in the Pacific, including PNG, these are important people in health service delivery.
During your course of formal schooling here, you will start to learn all these things, and as you come out, you will start to gain more experience.
He said Papua New Guineans are better in clinical health, therefore encourages students to attend training to perform better in curative health. APSET's Executive Director Thomas Pila said doctors and nurses in medical field have an important role to play.
Meaning that whoever is doing the work in the hospital will have to seriously do his or her job to treat that person so that he can or she can recover to go back and serve the country.
Eric Arupma, National EMTV News.
An ABG minister says that part of the Bougainville Constitution is about preserving and promoting our culture and traditions. Minister Sawa says that culture is our identity that must be developed in industries for the future generations, which is similar to the theme of the 12th Festival of Pacific Arts.
That as our constitution in the autonomous Bougainville government continues to stipulate on strengthening our culture to live the legacy of our forefathers and to continue to pass on these legacies to the next generation of Bougainville so that we can uphold the cultural system of promoting our culture in the future.
And now heading overseas, thousands of women and some men turned out in protest in Brazilian cities yesterday following the alleged gang rape of a 16-year-old girl by 33 men. Banners at the protest, which was accompanied by a heavy police presence but remained peaceful, read 33 against all of us and the victim is not to blame.
Outrage has followed not only the scale of the alleged attack, but the way in which images of the act were posted on Twitter and shared widely with obscene comments blaming the girl for what had happened. Women's rights groups say the deep-rooted culture of victim blaming, which has been unearthed through this case, is one of the principal reasons that an estimated 10% of rapes in Brazil are reported to the police. Brazil has relatively strong legislation with regards to rape, with an amendment approved by the Senate on Tuesday that would allow penalties for gang rape not previously covered by the Penal Code of up to 30 years. Rape by one attacker is penalized with 6 to 10 years. According to researcher in international relations and violence at the PUC University in Rio de Janeiro, Christina Hinz, the problem lies not in the legislature but in law enforcement and culture. The police identified 7 suspects by Wednesday and made 3 arrests. Civil Police Chief Fernando Veloso says the department is searching for more information on the 33 men deemed to have been involved. Vanessa Knight, EMTV World News.
A baby suffering from a birth defect caused by the Zika virus was born on Tuesday in New Jersey to a woman visiting from Honduras who was infected with the virus after she was bitten by a mosquito early on in her pregnancy. The baby girl is suffering from severe microcephaly, a birth defect marked by a small head size that can lead to severe development problems. After she was delivered through cesarean section at Hackensack University Medical Center in Hackensack, New Jersey.
U.S. health officials have concluded that Zika infections in pregnant women can cause microcephaly. The World Health Organization has said there is strong scientific consensus that Zika can cause Guillain-Barré, a rare neurological syndrome that causes temporary paralysis in adults. The connection between Zika and microcephaly first came to light last fall in Brazil, which has now confirmed more than 1,300 cases of microcephaly that it considers to be related to Zika infections in the mothers. The unidentified premature newborn also suffers from intestinal and visual issues. Zika is carried by mosquitoes which transmit the virus to humans. A small number of cases of sexual transmission have been reported in the United States and elsewhere. A case of suspected transmission through a blood transfusion in Brazil has raised questions about other ways that Zika may be spread. In January, the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention said that a U.S. woman who had lived in Brazil gave birth to a microcephaly baby in Hawaii. The Zika outbreak is affecting large parts of Latin America and the Caribbean, with Brazil the hardest hit. Honduras is the Central American country with the highest number of Zika cases, with 19,000 infections and at least 238 pregnant women infected. It has also detected at least 78 Guillain-Barré cases. There is no vaccine or treatment for Zika, which is a close cousin of dengue and chikungunya and causes mild fever, rash and red eyes. An estimated 80% of people infected have no symptoms, making it difficult for pregnant women to know whether they have been infected. Vanessa Knight, EMTV World News.
You're with National EMTV News. Trukai Sports is up next. We have sports tourism and who is in the running this year's SP Sports Awards. Don't go away.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. The year 2015 was big in terms of sports for the nation as the city of Port Moresby came together to host the biggest sporting event in the region, the 2015 Pacific Games. The Games not only proved Papua New Guinea's capabilities of hosting international sporting events, but also the significance of sports tourism. Recently appointed Minister for Tourism, Tobias Kulang, has spoken out on the Tourism Promotion Authority's failure on capitalizing on sporting events and the opportunities presented for PNG's economic and socio-economic development.
The 2015 Pacific Games posed a great opportunity for tourism industry in the country. The benefits would have impacted the economy. Minister for Tourism Tobias Kulang, whilst disappointed, has highlighted areas of improvement from the Pacific Games and ensured his ministry's role in capitalizing on major upcoming events.
Post-Pacific Game, we lost the opportunity to sell this country. We did not, TPEA did not capture the opportunity when all the nations of the Pacific, the media was here to sell this country properly. There was nil marketing. by TPA. So we want to change that, and we want to capture the opportunities that FIFA 21 will bring.
Kulang says the first step is instilling a firm and effective marketing strategy and moving forward with the FIFA Under-20 Women's World Cup in November and later the Rugby League World Cup leading into APEC Summit. While the spotlight has constantly been on the higher-ranked sports in the country like rugby league, football and cricket, a sporting code that is often unrecognized in the country is surfing. Andrew Abel, president of PNG Surfing Association, has already in sight plans and strategies which assist with the local tourism industry in selected parts of the country.
Look at sports tourism, in particular surfing, of course, around the world, where there's an estimated 40 million surfers globally. And, you know, we Papua New Guinea, over the last 30 years that we've evolved as a niche sector, we're only just touching the tip of the iceberg. But the important thing here for people to appreciate what we've done in Papua New Guinea is that we've developed our resource, this surfing resource, in partnership with our resource custodians, where we have the horse before the cart, so to speak.
With the world's surfing titles to be held along the shores of Papua New Guinea, on the Madang coast, PNGSA and Tourism Ministry will be working together to identify how best to utilize this event to boost the sports tourism industry. Shane Saroya, National EMTV Sports.
Ryan Pini is one of Papua New Guinea's most successful athletes, proving that dedication and passion in any sport allows you to achieve amazing results. And with the SP Sports Awards around the corner, the three-time Olympian is in the final 3 nominees for the Best Male Athlete of the Year award. Pini will face bodybuilder Jack Vayufa and former Hunters captain Israel Eliab, who are also nominees in the same category.
Born in 1981 and towering at over 196 centimeters tall, Ryan Pini has had many great results to show for his hard work over the years.
This great land watching him, they'll be inspired.
He has won many medals at the South Pacific Games between 1999 and 2015. As well as winning a gold medal at the Commonwealth Games in 2006, the second ever won by PNG. He also became PNG's first ever finalist in an Olympic game in 2008. Pini was also selected to represent PNG in the 2012 Olympics in London. In the lead-up to the Olympics, Pini suffered a shoulder injury that delayed his training for London. After a shoulder operation, he began his year-and-a-half journey to the Games. Pini has supporters from all over the Pacific, with over 3,500 likes on the PNG Olympic team Facebook page and many followers on Twitter. In dawn of the 2016 Rio Olympics, Pini gained 3 Olympic B qualifying times in the 100-meter butterfly, 100-meter freestyle and 100-meter backstroke. However, he's aiming for an A qualifying time, which will be around the time that will make semi-finals at the Olympics. Having been nominated for the SP Sports Award a number of times, he is again the likely contender to win the Male Athlete of the Year, among other 2 contenders, Jack Vayufa and Israel Eliab. In his time out of the pool, Pini visits local schools and workplaces, working as an inspirational role model to the young and old, using these avenues to promote motivation and success. Shane Saroya, National EMTV Sports.
Trukai Sports continues after the break. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back. Former PNG Kumul who changed allegiance to Australia last year, James Segeyaro, has been dropped from his NRL club, the Penrith Panthers, to reserve grade. The crafty hooker was on Tuesday dropped to reserve grade ahead of Saturday's clash with Melbourne, just a week after being issued a warning from New South Wales Police for allegedly consorting with convicted criminals. And that ends Trukai Sports. I'll have the weather details for the next 24 hours after these short messages.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
Your weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow. In the southern region, mostly fine, though inland thunderstorms for Port Moresby and Kerema. Fine and windy for Daru, mostly fine for Alatau, and possible evening thunderstorms, then mostly fine for Popondetta. And that's the news, sports and weather for tonight, Thursday, the 2nd of June, 2016. On behalf of the entire news team, I'm Hope Imaka. Pleasant viewing. Good night.